I often wish that I had a like some sort of prop. Like for this, I was thinking of like when I thought of this episode, I immediately thought of like the thumbnail, and I wish I had some sort of prop like a conductor's hat or something to drop into the thumbnail, because I think that would have just added a little bit more. But for now, I haven't. I don't really own any sort of props that I could wear or use for thumbnails for train related things or transport fever related things or anything like that. I think the best I've got for travel is probably a suitcase, which won't really go with this. Maybe if we did some sort of aeroplane asset or mod for Transport Fever 2, maybe I could just walk into the camera with a suitcase, or have me doing some weird stance for the thumbnail holding the suitcase or something like that, but I don't. Anyway, this is the second time I've recorded this episode, and obviously you can tell now I'm doing it with a camera. I wanted to sort of expand on it. Normally when I'm doing the Toolbox episodes, I normally sort of stand up. Luckily for me, I have a standing desk. I normally stand up, have the script right in front of my face, stand up, and I guess I'm doing one of those, I guess when you do, like, you're in a sound booth when you're doing, that's what I feel like anyway, when you're in a sound booth, maybe doing an animated series if you're an actor, and you're doing the voices. But instead, I'm sitting down because I thought it'd be more comfortable, and we're going to do the Toolbox episode like this and see how you guys react and how you get on with it, I guess. I'm really bad at remembering my lines, and that's why I used to do it like that as well, because I could have the script in front of me and just read from it. The only problem is I found it sounded a bit monotone sometimes, and I just read it off, and the emotions and who I am didn't really come across. So what I have done is, because I'm really bad, like I said, at remembering my script, is I've put it on an iPad. It was right in front of me, so I thought, if it's right here, and I can just look at it and read from it, and I'll do it on purpose. That way it doesn't look like I'm trying to read something on the sly, and I'll just be like a news anchor and read from it. Welcome back to another Toolbox episode, where I aim to share the best mods and assets that I use in my builds, mainly the UK-inspired rail network. I'll share the download link and give a massive shout out to the authors who created the amazing builds. See, I even struggled with that. I even struggled with that. Like, I have it written right in front of me, but I wanted to at least be able to remember the intro, and that was bad enough. Anyway, in this episode, we're taking a look at the Timetables mod by Calmi originally, and I think it's since then been looked after by Gregory365 and a number of other authors as well. I'll put full credit to all the people that have been involved in it in the description below. I apologize if I missed out your name, but that's what I've got written down, and I've obviously not researched enough, and I apologize profoundly. The mod basically enables you to timetable your trains. So it's an expansion on what the game does naturally already, like the unbunching mechanism that the game has already. It's an expansion on that, and it has three kind of major areas where you can sort of timetable your trains anyway. It's quite nice because I've used it. I stumbled across it early on in the sort of my mod adventure with Transport Fever 2, and I've always wanted something like that because I'm quite into a little bit of realism. I quite like having my trains all in order, and I also quite like having my trains sitting in terminal stations for a little while. You know, when you rock up to Euston and your train's already waiting there and it sits there for a while. I like looking at that. You know, I think those of us that are into trains in this game, we like looking at our trains for a fair bit. And if you have a couple all lined up in your terminal station, it looks quite good, right? I don't know why we're like that, but we do, and we like them. It's a bit like lining up your cars, I guess, when you're a kid. You know, when you used to line up your cars? I mean, I lined up my cars. Apparently, it does signify that you do sort of not necessarily have something wrong with you, but it does signify that you do have something or other. I don't know, somebody told me that once, and it's kind of stuck in my head, and then I spent the best part of so many years worrying that I have something wrong with me. Maybe I'm just chatting absolute nonsense. So this mod has three sort of options to unbunch or spread your trains out or control your trains in a timetable. It's got arrival and departure, unbunch, and auto unbunch. Arrival and departure, I'm going to read from my notes, all right, and then I'm going to we're going to flick over into the game, all right? Shall I start with that, or shall I start? I mean, I've never actually done anything where you actually install the mod. I've never actually done that. So when you install the mod, you basically install the mod. When you install the mod, you basically install the mod. So when you once you've installed the mod, selected it in your saved game, you activate it, make sure it's green ticked. Okay, when you've loaded up your game, you should basically see at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a timetables option, basically at the bottom of your tab thingy. What I'll do is, it's probably now when I'm speaking, I've probably overlaid it and probably shown it there. So you've got a tab thing that's also clickable, and the mod basically works off the time of the game, the hour clock that's on the right, and that's how it works. So you have, like I said, you have 3 options: arrival, departure time, unbunch, and auto unbunch. So arrival, departure, based on my notes, you can add and arrive departure time slots. The train chooses the closest arrival time slot when entering the station and will then wait until the departure time. Right, let's have a look at that. Okay, so here we are in the many builds of this game that I have, the many different maps that I do to play about with junctions and train stations and auto-generated maps. So like I said, Timetables Mod, bottom of your screen, it will just be here, and it basically works off this clock. So we're going to load it up, and we're taking a look at the arrival departure. We can move this around. You can pin it if you like. So when you load it in, you have your lines on the left. Make sure your line's connected. Your line is created first, and I think you also, for it to pick up your line, you also have to set a train off it, a train or two off it on it as well. Off on it as well. So we're going to select line 2 because that's where I am, just hovering over this station here. Nice little junction I've been working on there. And you have your options here. So you select your line. To activate it, you make sure you white tick it there. And then you have the stations that it calls up there and where your trains are at the moment. So you have the unbunch, auto unbunch, or no timetable whatsoever. So we're going to go to arrival, departure. Now on loading this, I have noticed that it does have an extra element. I'm not sure, I've not noticed this because I generally don't use the arrival departure bit very much, but now I might do because now it's got an auto bit as well. But basically it runs off the hour clock here, and basically what you're going to do is, if you select a station, you add an arrival time of, let's say, 20 and a departure time of 22, and then you add another one, another arrival time. Make sure it's after the departure time. So let's say 25 and a departure time of 30. So basically, in a nutshell, from when I read the description and how I've used it in the past, you can add an arrival and departure time slots. The train chooses the closest arrival time slot when entering the station, and we'll wait until the next departure time. So if it's closest to the 20-minute arrival time, it will depart at the 22 minutes. If it's closer to the 25, it'll arrive at the 30-minute departure time. Okay, it's pretty simple, and you can go down and you can add a fair few. So, and I guess when I used to use this, I did it based on how many trains I had. So if I've got 4 trains, I'd add 4 arrival departure times. That way you'll make sure your trains are adequately split up, and it looks quite nice when they're sitting on the train station as well. What you can also do is that I just noticed, and I was just playing with, is you can go to separation. You can separate your trains. So let's have a look. We can separate our trains like by 7.5 minutes, okay, or 20 minutes. So let's say 10 minutes, yeah. So we do that, and it will auto generate. Oh, max time away, and it won't auto generate that because I think the trains are not. There's not enough trains. Okay, so what happens if we add that and then we go to 3 minutes? Generate. Oh, there we go. So you have to create one first. You have to create your first one first. I think that had something to do. I think that's actually nonsense. I think that had something to do with how many trains I had and where it can fit in. And there we go. And it automatically generates a timetable for you across the whole hour. So that way the whole hour is filled, and it has a minimum and a maximum start time. And it will automatically make sure that the trains are split 6 minutes apart. Am I in the right place? Have I, like, because obviously when I recorded this, I thought I'd just do it in order as if I'm doing it with you guys. And what I've done is, you know, when the game loads, and the game can take a while to load up, especially if you've got a massive map like the one I loaded into, to show you why I didn't just create a small map and quickly create some track and a couple of stations and do that. I don't know. I decided to load up one of my maps. Anyway, auto unbunch. Auto unbunch is something I use a lot. It will basically unbunch. Let me just read it. Auto unbunch will basically unbunch the line depending on its current frequency. No, that's auto unbunch. I don't want to auto unbunch. I've just read you the next one after that. Unbunch, you can set the frequency, and the mod will enforce that the trains will depart the station using the given frequency. So let's say you set it to 10 minutes. The train will not. The following train will not leave the station unless the other train is at least 10 minutes down the line. Okay, so it will basically keep your trains within the game time, again, that clock at the bottom, within 10 minutes apart. So we're back on my map again, and we're looking at the unbunching mod. The unbunching, like I've said already, in the unbunching mod, it's not even a mod, it's just a whole thing. we're looking at the timetables mod. Again, it uses the clock here to time the trains. So we're looking at this station here where I've got an unbunch going on. On this line, I've got an unbunch of 10 minutes going, basically. So when a train arrives into this station, if it's within 10 minutes of the train in front of it, it will basically just sit at the station with its doors open, and it will still allow passengers to join, which is quite nice. And it will just sit there until it's exceeded that 10 minutes, and then it will leave. It's quite nice to spread across big lines, to spread your trains up. And as like I said, spread your trains up, spread your trains out. And like I said, I like to stare at my trains in a terminal station because I just do. All right, it looks quite nice, and I may be losing money doing it, but it's quite nice staring at it, watching them sort of just chill out and load. And it simulates, like I said, like somewhere like Euston or, you know, King's Cross, whatever, like Eurostar, if you've got a high-speed service like that, it's quite nice just having them sit there, and it looks cool, doesn't it? And that's what we like. So yeah, there's that blabber on about that. Last but not least, auto unbunch. Auto unbunch will basically unbunch the line depending on its current frequency. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't actually used this mod. Why do I keep saying mod? This bit in the mod. I haven't actually used it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to jump in and we're going to have a quick look now. Okay, yeah, so auto unbunch. I quickly just selected it to see what it did. And it looked like it did a margin time. I'm not sure what the margin time is. But it gave me an unbunch time of 10:45. I'm suggesting that that's 10:45 and frequency 1. Okay, so it's giving me a margin of 1 minute. I'm guessing that's the margin, like, it's working within. I'm going to assume, like, because it's looking at the frequency in the top left, it said an 11 minutes 45. So I'm guessing it's giving you that 1 minute between the 10-minute 45 as the margin of whereabouts they're arriving. So it's giving it a margin frequency, and then an unbunch time of 10 minutes 45. So basically, it's saying for every train that stops at this station on that line, it won't leave until it's outside of 10 minutes 45 seconds. I'm assuming the margin time, if it arrives within a 1 minute of that, then it might just leave straight away. I might play with this a little bit and let this run and see what happens. And I'll let you know next week, maybe. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Anyway, that's how you use those. This is quite fun, isn't it? Like, just sort of working through these. So that's the auto unbunch. Like, I'm not sure how much that helped you, to be honest. But that's generally how it works, I think. If not, just comment, you know, have at it. I've written some notes about the sort of things I've run into since the last patch. I can't remember what the last patch is actually called. I think it's something on the lines of, it's got numbers. I've recently joined some Discord channels. Patches have numbers, like they do with everything. But the patch has a really long number, and unless I write it down, I'm not going to remember. I'm going to call this one the console patch. Since the console patch, obviously we had some different issues, like with the game. I had to uninstall a load of mods. I lived in fear that I was going to lose my UK-inspired rail network build. Luckily, I didn't, which is great. But some people did lose their builds. Some notable content creators lost a lot of their builds, and I'm gutted for them, really. And I was actually trying to find out if I could actually help and go through their mod list and see if I could find any similarities to what I lost, because I was enjoying their series myself. I was like, that's a shame. There's some notable crashes, like sort of noticeable crash reasons for this, and I think it's since been updated, so it might be okay now. There's some notable crashes that I had early on with it when I was selecting a station that wasn't the top one. If you noticed when I was doing the demonstration right just then, I was only using the top station, the first station in the line, as the one for the unbunching, auto unbunch, or timetables. That's because early on in the game, or after the patch using the timetables mod, I was finding issues with it crashing if I selected any station below that. So a quick tip for you is to play it safe for now. It might be okay. I haven't actually had to play it. I might do in a bit. It might be okay. A quick tip for you is when you're creating your lines, select the station that you're going to use for your unbunching or timetables primarily first. Because that way, when you come into the timetables mod, it'll be at the top of the list and it'll be the first one. So I've always mainly, because I used to like the unbunch with the terminal stations, I've made sure that I had that one first. I select my terminal station first and then do my line from then onwards. Because sometimes, obviously, noticed with the UK-inspired rail network build, I like to add little bits like sidings to my lines. I like to add a little bit of realism and mess around with that. Even with those, I still start off with the unbunching as the terminal station or the station I want them to start at or unbunch at first within the line and go on from then. So I think that's it. Let me know how you found this video. I'll drop a link to the download. This one's not actually on the Steam Workshop. This one's updated through the mod site that I'll give you the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that jazz if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed this style of video. I think I'm going to go with this now. I actually enjoyed recording this a little bit more than I normally do. And I actually found it less hard work. Hard work less. I actually found this easier to record. I found it more natural to me as well. And I think it felt like I was just recording one of my episodes really when I'm building or whatever with you guys as well. So I think I did enjoy that. And I've nearly, because I've been slapping this iPad, I've nearly deleted my script off here. I didn't really use it that much. I felt I did quite well. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've said that already. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.